activities. Okay, so let's start the session. One of the other things I want to just bring to your attention as well, we also have a moderator workbook. Now the moderator workbook you're not going to be able to finish in one attempt because it is quite long. So just trying to answer a couple of questions each day. The deadline for this is then, of course, I'd like it to be finished by tomorrow afternoon, but it's also, over the next 2.5 weeks until the 16th of October is fine as well. Okay, so that's then just one thing I want you to be aware of, that I want you to keep on we will you'll keep working on that as time goes by. Okay, so the first thing that we have is we've got this assessment guide. So this assessment guide is the document that would tell the assessor what to do. So remember, we've got these 4 people involved in the assessment. We are the moderator. We are going to be looking at, is the assessment guide good enough to be used? And this assessment guide is meant to be an instruction for the learner to go to the customer. So this document, you are not going to fill in anything on this document. I'm just going to highlight all of the text in yellow. You're not going to fill in anything on that document. Everything you do, everything you'll be filling in is on this one called the Moderation Plan for Assessment Guide. So just show me that you understand that by perhaps putting it in the chat, or if you can't go into the chat, just raise your hands. Okay, so everybody's hand should be okay, so Antoinette has made a suggestion for me that could maybe help, is that there is on the Teams meeting button. On the Teams meeting, if you have a screen that looks like this, there is something that says join, and that button might be what you can do to push it to make sure. Okay, so accordance, sorry if I said the 6th of October, I meant the 16th of October. 1/6. In other words, about 3 weeks from now. Well, 2.5 weeks. Okay, so just perhaps practice clicking on that join button to see if maybe that will help the chat. Okay, and the raising the hands also seem to be working. Okay, so let's just then carry on. Okay, so let's take a look at this moderation. So what we've got inside the assessment guide. Okay, so inside the assessment guide, we've got, it starts off with the title, the number, and the credits. The learner name is then where the learner would put in their name. Then we see that there is an entry requirements. Now the entry requirements is something that the people would have to meet before they embark on the program. So in other words, for this program, they need to be familiar with the policies of the bank and the ideas like that and the service guidelines, and they must be competent in communicating and mathematics at NQF level 2. Now, can anyone tell me what level 2 is? Okay, Moboane, your hand is up.
It was a mistake, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so NQF level 4 is matric, so that's grade 10. So grade 9 is NQF level 3, so grade 10. So Antoinette, you are correct. So this unit standard, like we were saying then, is an easy one because it's kind of the prerequisite for doing it is level 9. Or, grade 9. Okay, so assessment context and previous assessments. Okay, So that just tells the assessor what previous assessment the learner is likely to do. So one of the things to keep in mind when you were looking at the performance that Lance did is we were supposed to be assessing him on his ability to communicate verbally, not his ability to do customer service. So I'm just going to open up this document a little bit larger so that you can more easily see what I'm talking about. So we're not assessing him on customer service, we're not assessing him on his problem solving or his ability to operate a computer. But those other unit standards should have gone before this one. Then we've got a little section where it talks about how RPL would work. It has a section where it talks about safety factors, and then it has a section where it talks about the assessment schedule. Then what we've got here is we've got the outcomes to be assessed. So you're going to see that these outcomes to be assessed is then the unit standard again. So earlier today we looked at the unit standard. So here we've got that same unit standard again. Then what we've got is we've got the assessment activities. So remember, assessment methods are observation, questioning, and product evaluation. And they are what the assessor uses. So the assessor observes, questions, and looks at the product evaluation. The assessment activity is what the learner does. So in this instance, that is a role play. So during this activity, the learner will play the role of a customer service representative. The assessor will assess their ability to interact with clients and to help those clients resolve their problems while keeping the appropriate records of the interaction. The assessor will instruct the customers with what problems they should have as well as what solutions they should accept. The assessment will make use of observation, observing the interaction, questioning, asking the learner the questions after the interactions, and product evaluation, looking at the notes. This assessment will be a formative assessment that covers all of the assessment criteria. The learner's psychomotor skills will be assessed by their ability to communicate with the customer as well as by perceiving the customer's emotional state. The learner's cognitive ability will be assessed by evaluating the correctness of the information that they provide to the customer. Their affective skills will be assessed by how they react to the clients who are angry or in emotional distress. Okay, so that then covers the assessment events and the assessment activities. Then what we've got is we've got the barriers and special needs. Okay, so the barriers of environmental factors that can have an impact on the person's ability to perform, and special needs are factors inherent to them. So the big potential barriers and special needs here are language and environmental barriers such as noise and light levels, or comfort factors. So the language barrier is also something that will exist within the working environment, so you wouldn't need to particularly adjust for that in your assessment. Okay, so then what resources must the assessor have available? Their assessment documents, the learner needs to bring their ID, there needs to be banking documents and information forms. They need about 1 hour a banking simulation space. Then the following policies and procedures are important for the assessment. So it's assessment policy, RPL's policy, appeals policy, and moderation policy. Then here is a learner information form. This learner information form is important because it is this information needs to go into the National Learner Records database, and without this information there will be no potential to issue a statement of results. That is then just a reminder that all of you should just go and make sure that you've typed in your profiles correctly. You can do that by going into the course, clicking on profile, and then there is a button here that says edit profile. So you must make sure that you give me all of this information, such as your first name, surname, middle name, ID names, socioeconomic code, health and functioning status, all of these information. Otherwise, I won't be able to get you your results at the end of the day. So that is then just a brief detour there. The assessor then must have completed this assessment guide. But remember, we're only moderating the assessment tomorrow. We're only moderating the assessment tomorrow. So this document shouldn't be filled in. On the one that you're looking at tomorrow, it should be filled in. On this one, because we're doing a pre-assessment moderation. We're looking at what has gone before. Then what we've got is a pre-assessment briefing. Okay. So the pre-assessment briefing is that thing that I did with you yesterday morning. So remember, yesterday morning I discussed you all the way through a pre-assessment briefing. So once again, today this is going to be empty, but in the one that you are looking at tomorrow, it should be filled in. Then we have the observation sheet. Now the observation sheet is what the assessor would have been filling in when they're looking at that performance. So when they were looking, when we were looking at the video of Lance this morning, you would be marking him here to see if he has done it or not. And then in this space over here, the assessor would have written that Lance interacted with, because you see, when the assessor is assessing something, they've got to observe it. And the observation isn't, the ticks here isn't the evidence. The comments that they've made is what the evidence is. So Lance interacted with Vanessa. Vanessa wanted to find out about the status of her loan application. Okay, so she wanted to find out about the status of her loan application. Okay, so everyone, I'm just going to, I just quickly have something to attend to. So think of what else I should be writing there. Okay, so I'm going to